So Mike, thank you very much for this very comprehensive a review of multiple methods to cope with this. I think I find it difficult is that at the moment, right, there's this sort of a quick, just very quick fallout, and it's very difficult to grab that moment and pull it back, and we're just in this, whining tantrum very quickly before we could apply any of this. Well, at least is sort of a good mood method. And even think again doesn't work because he's not thinking. And all this, which is really difficult is that when all those cognitive methods that you want to use can only be used when the person is actually in a cognitive mode. So when they get into this, then is the only thing we can do at that moment just say, okay, take a break, gather yourself, and then we can talk about it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Right, that's absolutely right. So we're talking about levels of frustration. Also, you can call it levels of self-regulation. And if your child goes into a very quick meltdown mode, then that's sort of the red phase, which might talk about another time. So in a meltdown, a child really is not able to use cognitive skills. They're not able to think any better because they quickly become unreasonable. So the message is, okay, your only job is to calm down right now. We're not going to discuss this anymore because when a child is in meltdown mode, he or she has lost all reason. Your child is not rational, and they might even lose some of their language processing ability when they're really overwhelmed emotionally. So it's just purely take a break. If you can, try to step back and step away, because sometimes your close presence might continue to escalate the child and keep your child really angry or upset and frustrated. And then on the back end, you can do there could be second thoughts maybe later. Now, the goal of therapy is to help the child become more and more mindful of those real-time feelings and to be able to get those second thoughts, again, as close to real-time as possible. They might even have their first thought of, this stinks. And they go, oh, but, well, at least it's not the end of the world or something like that, or shades of gray. So that's the trick. So if your child is currently a quick melter downer, then we're going to have to do some mindfulness, help your child become more aware of his state or her state, and try to insert just a very quick plan. You want to have a quick frustration plan that the child can use, and it's almost a script because, again, in that moment, your child can't handle a wide range of options. So, and that would be something that you could work on together, or if your child has a therapist, the idea is to, okay, let's make a stress out plan or freak out plan, whatever you want to call it. And here's what you're going to do. You have this first reaction. Your first thought is this. Okay, is this helping the situation? No. All right, so quick, take a break. Or quick, what's your immediate second thought? Maybe you can just script with your child to say, well, at least, right? If you start to feel that way, script out a well, at least. All right, well, at least it's not the end of the world. Well, at least no one's dying here, right? And see if your child can insert that just as a script. And one other idea that might help is because these snap first thoughts are such a reaction, it might be helpful to create a very specific reward plan as external motivation. In the world, people are not loving, the idea of praise or rewards, but for a very specific behavior that's a little sticky, that a child's having a hard time giving up, maybe you have like a, 5 stars or some other kind of a token system, marbles, popsicles, and if your child can shift to a quick second thought, a helpful thought right away without going too far down into this, meltdown, then they can earn a token or a sticker, it would lead to a prize. And that external motivation might help them just work a little harder to overcome those first thoughts, those instinctive thoughts.
I was curious what you would do for an older teen in that situation. For someone who's more, yeah.
An older teen, but who also has sort of snap, intense reactions?
Yeah.
Yeah. Really, it's not that different. During a time of peace, I would talk to your child, especially if, I don't know if you're involved in therapy these days or not, but during a time of peace, hopefully your child will be amenable to this conversation during a calm time, where you say, you know what, like most of the time things are great and you're your best self, but there are those moments, you know, where something catches you and, you know, you just get so upset. You know, does that work for you? Is that a great part of your day? And that question is designed to help your child to really, it's kind of a motivational interviewing question. You know, is that a great part of your day? Is that working for you? Another question to ask is, does that really wind up getting you what you wanted in the first place? Right? Do you get what you needed? If the answer is no, and hopefully your child will be able to answer that honestly during a peaceful time, you can say, all right, well, let's make a plan together for how you can handle that, because there's those moments where that, you know, that adversity catches you, that no, that thing that doesn't go our way. What can you do? You know, what can you think? Either, again, think or do. Those are the two options. Can you think something different at that time? Or is there something that you can do, just a script that you can say, all right, you know what? I need a break. That would be an improvement, because if he can take a break for a minute, gather himself, and then allow the second thought to kick in, that reasonable thought, then you have something. But I think really, you know, doing it during having this conversation at a peaceful time, and then having some of the motivational conversation with your child is the best bet. And then partnering in a collaborative way on, you know, once you establish together that there's something in it for your child to have kind of an emergency plan for your child. And sometimes that motivates the child to participate more in these conversations also. The other piece that we didn't talk about today, which is kind of universal, but I wanted to share original things, is doing, you know, any kind of mindfulness practice, which is maybe a universal recommendation that I would have. There are a lot of very brief, there are tons of apps now that have short little mindfulness exercises that are not boring and lead kids through, and teens, through really positive mental exercises that are both relaxation exercises, but in mindfulness, you're developing more and more real-time awareness. That's besides the immediate relaxation, the development of real-time awareness is essential for your question, for the previous question. You know, in real time, you know, realizing, oh, like I hate this. For the child who reacts, you know, so in such a snap, intense fashion, they don't really have the awareness of their thinking and doing, right? They just have the impulse. So mindfulness, any kind of mindfulness work, and they could be like 2-minute long exercises. They don't have to be, you know, 20-minute meditations or anything like that. Will help your child with practice. Again, this is like a muscle. Can help your child develop a lot more real-time self-awareness so they can self-monitor. And that will free up their headspace to make more choices.